This 39 Dunedin News Bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on 39 Dunedin News, 80 years and going strong. A local organisation celebrates with the help of a gold medalist. The days of buying sugary drinks at Dunedin Hospital are numbered as the Ministry of Health orders their removal. And tough financial times have forced the founders of one of our newer museums to branch out. Good evening, Dunedin. I'm Rebecca Dupree. A Paralympic gold medalist is helping one local organisation to observe a major milestone. Staff, clients and guests of CCS Disability Action Otago are celebrating 8 decades of service in the South, and they're reflecting on the positive way attitudes have changed towards disability over the years.
A sizable cake to celebrate a substantial birthday. CCS Disability Action Otago staff are busily preparing for the organisation's 80th anniversary celebration. An acting regional manager, Mel Smith, says it's a time to look back at its long history as well as its progression over the years.
In terms of just the way that we look at disability, over the last 80 years that's changed a lot. So we've gone from real institutional thinking right through to, really there's no specific needs, it's just making sure that there's an equal playing field for people.
Smith says the organisation's role has changed a lot since its establishment in 1935, moving away from institutional care to more one-on-one support. And she says that's helped to significantly change attitudes about disability for the better.
There are questions to be asked and there are conversations to be had, and I guess having disabled people step into that space and do that and be out there and be in the spotlight as well has meant that that people are asking questions, they are interested and they're not so maybe nervous, I don't know. I think sometimes if you don't know, you're not really sure what you're allowed to say and what you're not allowed to say.
Otago Paralympian Adam Hall was in town for the celebration, taking time out from training to share his story and the importance of having goals. And he says the work CCS does is crucial, particularly in the way it's led by those living with disability.
People within CCS are kind of there as a resource to help guide whatever it is that may be needed. And I can relate that to my sport as well, is that the program that I have to be a successful athlete is athlete driven, so it's what the athlete needs, then the coaches or the other resources that I have provide that environment that I need to perform.
And Hall's looking forward to continuing his sporting success at the next Winter Paralympics to inspire others living with disability. A mission that'll be shared by CCS Disability Action for many more years to come. Ruby McAndrew, 39 Dunedin News.
A debate about whether to change parking in part of the city's industrial area is confusing some workers. Staff at several businesses behind the railway station have reportedly been warned about parking changes in the last week, but the City Council confirms it has no plan to change parking in the area at present. Most of the on-street parking is free and without time restrictions. It's predominantly used by employees of surrounding businesses. Rumours circulating among workers include the possible introduction of metered parking, but the council says that's not on the cards. There were suggestions late last year to put time limits on some parks, but nothing has been enacted. Sugary drinks are being removed from sale at Southern District Health Board sites. It's an order from the Ministry of Health that must be adhered to by the end of the month, and it comes as new research validates concerns about diet options.
It's just a can of Coke, but inside is 3 times the daily recommended sugar intake for children. And that's part of the reason why the Ministry of Health is distancing itself from these kinds of beverages, ordering all district health boards to remove sugary drinks from sale on their premises. That's happening locally at Dunedin Hospital and other SDHB sites, before the government's mandated deadline at the end of the month. The Southern District Health Board pulled out of its interview with 39 Dunedin News at the last minute, but we understand that staff are on board with the government's proposal to have all sugary drinks banned from Southern District Health Board sites. Nationally, the consumption of sugary drinks doubled between 2000 and 2006. Obesity is set to become the nation's biggest health problem in coming years, overtaking smoking. And as children's teeth rot from excess sugar consumption, attention is turning to diet options, with research revealing their contribution to poor gut health and other medical problems. All the more reason for health boards to lead by example in opting for safer alternatives. Rosie Mannins, 39, Dunedin News.
Otago Boys High School is celebrating more rugby success, with several pupils selected for the New Zealand Secondary School squad. The selection comes after 4 Otago Boys rugby players attended a national development program. They were the only Dunedin pupils chosen for the training camp. 3 of those players, Joshua Buchan, Tim Hogan and Slade McDowell, made the cut for the 26-man squad. And prop Sione Asi will represent Dunedin in the Barbarians schools team. The 2 sides will battle one another this weekend before they depart for a 3-match international series in Australia. The local founders of a nationally unique business venture are branching out in order to avoid closure. Dunedin Cannabis Museum staff are offering tourist accommodation at the South Dunedin facility, and already their guest book is filling up.
Not your typical bed and breakfast. The country's only cannabis museum is advertising for guests on accommodation website Airbnb. Initially used to house activists, artists and musicians, the museum is now opening its doors to tourists.
There's such an appetite for cannabis tourism in New Zealand. New Zealand is really known for its high use rate of cannabis. Cannabis culture is a big part of New Zealand culture, even though it's hidden away. And the tourists are really hungry to get a lens into that.
The museum doesn't charge an admission fee and solely relies on donations from social club members. That brings in a few $100s on a good week. So, founders are renting the spare room so they'll no longer have to fund operations from their own pocket.
Most people kind of turn their nose up at us because of the controversial nature of the subject material in our museum. But we've gotten, pretty goodwill from the community, but we always need a little more.
The museum has already had their first guests and more are booked in for the Fleetwood Mac concert in November. And Gray hopes they'll take the opportunity to learn more about the cannabis culture during their stay by pursuing the museum's exhibits.
We can't, we obviously can't just allow open cannabis consumption on the premises, and we can't provide cannabis for any of the guests. That would be great. That's what they do overseas, and that's what the tourists actually want. Unfortunately, we would be shut down very quickly.
He believes there's a real niche for this kind of accommodation, and the new venture comes as city's leaders call for more investment in the visitor sector. Annabelle Dick, 39 Dunedin News.
Still to come on 39 Dunedin News, we take a look at the petition that's been created to save our courthouse. And could a lack of funding stymie the creativity of Otago youth?
Big Orange for all your movies, records, books and games. Pre-loved needs and vinyl records, 45s, DVDs. A South Dunedin family-owned business for over 15 years. Check us out on Facebook, opposite Westpac on the sunny side of King Edward Street.
Every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell menswear, it fits.
Active Furnishers Limited, home of quality service with superior product and an in-house design team who are always happy to advise and create an imaginative solution for you. Active Furnishers Limited, part of Dunedin's design history.
Wake up time and another frantic day ahead for Haraway's oat singles. With 3 delicious flavours in each pack, they don't last long with this family. They're so convenient and tasty, and they're ready in seconds. Haraway's oat singles are the ideal breakfast or snack on the run for today's busy families. And there's a flavour to suit everyone. Beat the rush and make sure you get your favourite flavour. Haraway's oat singles. Try new Kiwi Favourites Caramel Variety Pack.
To the people we meet in southern skies. Take your place, take your place, take your place in the world. Take your place, take your place in the world.
Pellet fires are growing in popularity in Otago, with people who want a clean and efficient form of home heating. The sight of a burning flame without the problems of chopping, stacking and carting wood around is a winner. Pellet fires, so easy, so efficient.
McClellan Refrigeration is your one-stop shop for heat pumps in Dunedin. We have a range of heating, air conditioning and refrigeration solutions. We also have 20 years experience. McClellan Refrigeration, call us on 477 0088.
Hello, I'm Dougal Stevenson. Welcome to Museum Diaries, where we showcase some of the rare and wonderful treasures of the Otago Museum, some of which we don't normally see. On the show, we find out about one of the heaviest known bony fish in the world, the sunfish. Jane Malthus is in to show us some intricate lace. Collections Officer Jamie Metzger discusses fanny bus garments, and Conservation Manager Nissa Mildwaters brings in a snake, a crab and a wrasse.
Tune in on Thursday for Motorsport Night on Dunedin Television.
Welcome back. Local bank staff are being consulted in relation to possible redundancies. A spokesperson for ANZ confirmed to 39 Dunedin News the company was undergoing consultation with affected staff. They won't disclose details of how many jobs are being cut or which local branches are involved. At least some positions are expected to be dropped from the bank's South Dunedin branch. ANZ won't say when the consultation period is expected to finish or when redundancies will be confirmed. Affected staff were told of the changes yesterday. And on that note, let's take a look at today's markets. The NZX 50 has closed the day down 13 points. It's now at 5,652. The FTSE is down 33 points. And to the exchange rates, and the Kiwi dollar is down against all the currencies we follow. A petition to the government to save Dunedin's historic courthouse is fast gaining traction. It was launched a little over a week ago by the Save Our Courthouse group and has garnered more than 1,000 signatures. Group member and City Councillor Aaron Hawkins is administering the petition and he joins us to talk about it. Good evening, Aaron.
Kia ora, Rebecca.
Now, what does this petition ask for?
We're asking for the government to commit to bringing back our courts to their historic home on Lower Stewart Street. Pretty simple, really.
How many signatures so far?
1,382 currently.
What is the government doing in respect of the courthouse?
Well, at the moment it's hard to tell exactly what it is that they're doing. Amy Adams, who is the Justice Minister, has commissioned a business case for the reopening of the Dunedin courthouse. Now, at the moment we're not sure whether or not she's even read that. It certainly hasn't made it to the Cabinet agenda, and so one of the goals of this petition is to prod the government along and have it discussed around that table.
Do you have an end date for this petition?
We do. We're asking people to sign and share it through until this Friday, the 18th of September.
And will you deliver it to Parliament?
We will email it to the Minister, but I think it might be nice to send a card as well, just to be polite.
What do you hope will happen as a result?
Well, I think ultimately the government will concede that the only option that they have the right thing to do is to finish the job of restoring the Dunedin courthouse and reopening it. Dunedin needs and deserves a functioning justice facility. They've spent $6.8 million plus $600,000 a year ongoing using a temporary office space as a court and telling us that it's too expensive to do the work that they need to do to keep our courthouse, to preserve our social history and our built heritage, which are both very important things.
Tell us about the Save the Courthouse group.
So the group was formed by the Mayor at the request of Council and solely for the purpose of campaigning to save the courthouse. And Stevens, a local barrister, has spearheaded that alongside Professor Mark Hennigan from the Faculty of Law, a couple of engineers, and Lou Robinson and Stephen McKnight, the Mayor, Councillor Benson Pope and myself. And being the youngest of that group, I was designated the computers portfolio, which is why you have me talking about the petition that we're running online.
What other action is planned to save this building?
At the moment there are other higher level conversations going on with the Mayor and the Minister. Essentially the justification for the situation is that they've said that it's going to cost more than $10 million to do the work that needs to be done. We think that the information that is based on could use a second look, so we've asked for a peer review of that, and which hasn't been forthcoming, and if one doesn't exist then we're happy to assist in that, because we think that estimate's probably a little bit high.
What do you think are the chances of the courts returning to this particular building?
We have to be optimistic. I mean, as I mentioned, from an economic point of view, this doesn't make sense. It's not fit for purpose as a courthouse, the current situation. But it's hard not to see this in in the same sequence of events that saw what happened in Invermay, what's happening at Dunedin Hospital. This is a government that aren't prepared to invest in the regions and places like Dunedin to the degree that they have a responsibility to do so.
If the government was to flatly refuse to return to this building, could it be used by anyone else for anything else?
Well, it could, but we don't want to see that happen either. A repeat of the Dunedin railway station situation where the Crown flicks it off for $1 and expects the local community to bring it up to scratch. Now, it's hard to argue that that wasn't a good idea, that's what we had to do, but this is part of a trend nationally where we have a government ignoring its heritage assets and hoping the private sector or local authorities will pick up the tab, and I don't think that's good enough.
From the Save Our Courthouse group, Aaron Hawkins, thank you very much for your time.
A pleasure.
After the break on 39 Dunedin News, a youth art awards show faces an uncertain future, and we'll find out how one man's efforts to overcome schoolyard bullying could lead him to the Olympics.
Do you want support for your breathing? You are not alone. In New Zealand, over 600,000 people have some form of breathing difficulty, especially with the high pollen season in New Zealand. Puff Plus is an excellent natural product developed to support lung function and breathing difficulties. Puff Plus is so effective, you get a no questions asked, money back guarantee on the first purchase. Give it a go, you have nothing to lose. Call now, 0800 502 402. Take as directed. If symptoms persist, see your healthcare professional.
Pellet fires are growing in popularity in Otago with people who want a clean and efficient form of home heating. The sight of a burning flame without the problems of chopping, stacking and carting wood around is a winner. Pellet fires, so easy, so efficient.
Pregnant? Need to talk? 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Pregnancy counselling services are here to help. It's free, it's confidential. Call us now on 0800 773 462.
Big Orange for all your movies, records, books and games. Pre-loved needs and vinyl records, 45s, DVDs. A South Dunedin family-owned business for over 15 years. Check us out on Facebook, opposite Westpac on the sunny side of King Edward Street.
McClellan Refrigeration is your one-stop shop for heat pumps in Dunedin. We have a range of heating, air conditioning and refrigeration solutions. We also have 20 years experience. McClellan Refrigeration, call us on 477 0088.
She's 21 metres long with a 6.7 metre beam. She can support diving, seafloor mapping and sampling, deep water measurements, and has onboard laboratories. She has a range of 1,000 nautical miles, which means the Polaris 2 can take your studies further than you ever thought possible. My name's Will Raymond, and this is My Place in the World.
Take your place in the world.
Active Furnishers Limited, home of quality service with superior product, and an in-house design team who are always happy to advise and create an imaginative solution for you. Active Furnishers Limited, part of Dunedin's design history.
We can't guarantee what people will do once they leave here, but we can sure as hell try to make it better. We're making headways, especially with our offenders going out and the integration between our industries and the outside industries, like the real stuff. Society just needs to give these guys a chance.
Welcome back. Police are asking for the public's help in recovering a stolen septic waste truck. The truck was stolen from the Glen at 4:30 this morning. It's got Barrydale Plumbing written on the side, and police believe it has been driven out of the city. There was an unconfirmed sighting of the truck in Oamaru just before midday. Police say thieves tried to purchase fuel for the truck before heading north out of Dunedin. The 1986 vehicle has a distinctive blue cab and a yellow tank. A regional art awards show may soon be discontinued due to a lack of funding. This year's Otago Youth Art Awards comprises work by hundreds of primary and intermediate pupils. But it could be the last time the event offers a public platform for budding creativity.
The work of young artists in the making. This year's Art Awards by the Otago Art Society boasts entries for more than 300 students wanting to show off their creativity.
The Youth Art Awards have been created, actually been going for about 15 years now, as a way to support the creativity amongst our young artists. The Art Society itself is a forum for people who enjoy the arts, and it's a way of us encouraging public awareness.
Hundreds of relatives, friends, teachers and art enthusiasts have flocked to see the work displayed. A showcase of the creativity of children from all over Otago, divided into 3 age categories. Several pieces are for sale and a few have already been purchased.
It's interesting, I was just talking to a couple of people who've been through the exhibition this morning and they reckon it's the best yet. So within any age group there's different variety of expression, but this year's, I would have to say, so many things to enjoy.
The show is sponsored by the owners of Pet Planet, who contribute $1,000 each year. But the business is being sold and its new owners don't want to continue sponsorship. It's a blow for organisers who hope to be able to secure the event's future despite the funding shortfall.
We will find the money because it must keep going, but if anyone out there wants to throw money at us, $1,000 is all it takes to sponsor it. We'd really appreciate that because we see it as a really important aspect of our creative calendar at the Art Society.
Longstaff says the annual event paves the way for creative youngsters wanting to pursue an artistic career. And she hopes someone will be generous enough to continue its 15-year legacy. Annabelle Dick, 39 Dunedin News.
A young Dunedin man is fighting his way to victory, hoping to represent New Zealand as a boxer. He's excelling in the sport that has helped him to overcome schoolyard bullying. And with the Olympics in mind, he hopes to inspire other local youth.
On a mission to prove he's 1 in a million, Dunedin man Matt Crawford is training to be selected for the Oceania Boxing Nationals next month. He's already got 2 national titles under his belt and wants to represent New Zealand at next year's Olympics, topping off what's been a tough road.
I actually won my first New Zealand title by having a cast on for 4 weeks, and then I cut it off not the best thing to do, and then fought 2 fights and won my first New Zealand titles.
He trains twice a day, 6 days a week. It hasn't been easy, with the brutal regimen taking a toll on his body. But Crawford draws on his experience as inspiration to keep moving forward, saying positive self-talk is key, secondary to physical training.
You have to have a good, strong mindset. You've got to be able to back yourself and believe in yourself and be confident in your abilities, and that's why you train. You do the hard yards.
Crawford started boxing in response to high school bullying and aims to help local youth with similar struggles. He takes classes with children who are responding positively. Parents appreciate the use of boxing ideology in other areas of life, and Crawford welcomes the chance to give back to the sport that's helped him.
My ultimate goal in boxing is to represent my country and do well for the gym and for my coaches, and to one day make a living out of the sport, so whether that be coaching or training fighters.
Crawford needs to win at Nationals to make the Olympics. The 21-year-old quietly confident he's got what it takes. Jack Conroy, 39 Dunedin News.
And now recapping tonight's top stories on 39 Dunedin News. 80 years of service is being celebrated at CCS Disability Action Otago as staff consider drastic change over the years. Sugary drinks are being removed from sale at Southern District Health Board sites in line with a government directive. And the founders of a nationally unique business venture are branching out to avoid closure by offering visitor accommodation. Well, it's time now to find out what's going to be on the pages of Wednesday's Otago Daily Times, and Phil Somerville joins us. Good evening.
Yes, hi. A very big story for Dunedin and for the regions is, of course, the Silverfern Farms and the $296 million proposed Chinese investment in a joint venture. So that's obviously going to be big news. I thought for tomorrow we might jump into the opinion pages, because we haven't done that for a while. A story about Turnbull, the new Prime Minister of Australia, and his Liberal credentials and where he might go, and is he a Prime Minister for the 21st century or not. Worldview story from Gundai, his stuff's always very interesting, and Elspeth McLean's regular fortnightly column on Moths Collide. It's about the book Into the River that was banned. She read it some time ago. Of course she thinks it shouldn't be banned, but she actually found the book a bit dull, so that was intriguing. I'd like to mention The Wash too, because it's become very popular. Tomorrow it joins the Save the Courthouse campaign, and Dave Cannon's request for wildlife pictures. They're really starting to pour in, so keep an eye out for those.
And that's all in tomorrow's ODT. Thanks, Phil. Time now for local weather.
Is proudly brought to you in association with Silverhorn's Puff Plus.
And here is tonight's city view. It's taken of clouds stacking up over the city. And around the city at 3 o'clock today, pretty fabulous indeed. 22 degrees for the central city and the Taieri, 24 at the Gardens. To the situation, and a milder west to northwest flow is developing ahead of a weak trough that's due on Thursday, so let's enjoy it while we can. To the forecast for some of the main towns in the Lower South Island for tomorrow. Some rain and nor'westers for Invercargill, Gore and Alexandra. Both nor'westers and rain will ease into Yarnell, highs of around 14 or 15 degrees. Nor'westers with some rain for Queenstown, high cloud and nor'westers in Oamaru. Some rain and nor'westers for Wanaka and Twizel. Highs vary between 14 and 18 degrees. And Dunedin tonight, high cloud and nor'west winds, a low of 10. Scattered rain tomorrow with fresh nor'westers, 18 degrees. And on Thursday, a few showers and a period of sou'westers at first, but becoming fine during the day with westerlies freshening later, 17 degrees. And to the Otago Pallet Fires tidal and fishing information, low tide tomorrow afternoon is at 12:10. High tide follows at 5:45. And fishing conditions look good, particularly around 2:30 tomorrow afternoon. And that's local news for Tuesday. We'll see you again tomorrow. Good night.
This 39 Dunedin News Bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.